On ABC Radio Brisbane, it's Elvis Costello. Every day I write the book. Now, I promise you that was in the playlist to play at this point in the morning, and it is so perfect because you're about to hear about how to get a book published. And I wonder if that's something you've dreamt of doing. You know, they say everyone's got a book inside them. It's just that not all of those stories should be told. But hey, if you want to tell it, maybe you should go for it. And apparently lots of people have had a crack at writing through this pandemic, perhaps with a little more downtime or home time. Aussies have decided to go ahead and write a manuscript. What's it like, though, trying to find a publisher? Or do you do it yourself? Well, Ocean Reeve is a Brisbane-based publisher who's just won an award for getting first-timers published. Hello, Ocean.
Good morning, Rebecca. How are you?
Really well, thank you. And congratulations. Ocean Reeve Publishing has taken out the APAC Enterprise Award for Best Australasian Independent and Self-Publishing Company in 2021. Did you have a sort of an Oscars-like virtual ceremony or something like that to celebrate?
There was a fair bit of happy dancing in the office,
Yes.
but that would be as far as it went. But it was we didn't see it coming, so we're very, very pleased.
Oh,
so.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You see yourself as filling a gap in the publishing world between what and what?
Between traditional publishing and self-publishing. I think you'll find that a lot of the traditional published authors are starting to pull away from those guys to have more control and to receive more of their royalties. And self-publishing, there's a concern there that the people they are going to become self-published may not have the expertise to be able to bring their book to quality standards. Plus, there's no marketing support there. So, yeah, we kind of fit in between where we follow the publishing process that the trade guys do and bring in marketing support so the authors can sell their books.
Yeah, interesting. And look, let's be brutally honest. Sometimes when you see a self-published book, it looks like a self-published book. There's something just not quite legit about the binding or something like that. How did you get into publishing?
Well, you're so right there, and libraries and booksellers, they spot it a mile away. So we've really got to make sure that we are lifting the standard of our cover designs and our formatting and the production of the books for sure. For me, I got into publishing in New Zealand. I'm a Kiwi, and it was educational publishing I first got into, and then I stepped into a sales role with trade publishing. When the boom of self-publishing took over, we diversified a bit, and I actually won a couple of awards back home, and then I thought, well, the only way to really grow my career was to come to Australia, and I knew that if I had worked with a company that was rather lateral in their thinking, I could bring marketing into the self-publishing world in a greater form. It took about maybe 6 or 7 years before I realised I actually had to start my own company to do this. So, yeah, we're 5 years fresh now, and it's just booming. It's a fantastic move, and our team is one of the best I've ever worked with in my whole career because they understand that vision from the author and, you know, their goals and their ideals that they have when they first start writing. You know, they really need to be listened to, and we can provide the service to meet those needs, which is awesome.
What kind of books have you published?
The majority of the work we do is personal development or professional development. So whether it's tragedy to triumph stories or dealing with certain elements of business, that's definitely a large part of what we do. Children's books are always the most popular. And for the 20 years I've been in the industry, the amount of kids' books I've been involved with, it's enormous.
What's your favourite? Go on, give us a character or a...
Fatty the Rat Rod. Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah, so it's an author...
Fatty the Rat Rot, did you say?
Yeah, Fatty the Rat Rod. It's an author down in New South Wales.
Yeah.
Mitch, Oxaborough, I think his last name is. I always have trouble pronouncing it. Fatty is the actual rat rod truck that he pulled out of a desolate field, and he did it all up, and he drives it around to expos and stuff. So they wrote a story about it, and I published it about 8 years ago, and it's still selling heaps now. I just love that character because Fatty's an actual real truck. So yeah.
That's so great. You are listening to Ocean Reeve, a Brisbane-based publisher. Ocean Reeve Publishing has just taken out an international award for Best Australasian Independent and Self-Publishing Company in 2021. Through the pandemic, has there been a bit of a boom in people at home tapping away that story they've always wanted to write?
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting because when COVID hit, myself and my business partner Jason were actually over in New Zealand doing a tour, and we'd go to libraries and speak about creative expression and publishing. So we got word about 2 days before we had to fly back that COVID had hit and Australia was going into a lockdown. So we got back in time, which was great. But I panicked a little bit. I thought, man, how's this going to actually look? No one's experienced this before in any industry. My panic wasn't necessary because within about 3 or 4 months, a lot of contact came through. A lot of manuscripts from the bottom drawer. That's what it really was. All these people in Australia, they'd written these stories and go, I'll get round to it. And COVID allowed people to pull it back out and bring it into the headlights. So it was really awesome to see that happen. And I think as we kind of found a little bit of level ground with COVID, we had a lot of people say, okay, well, there's no excuses now. So we saw a lot of new stories come through as well. I've never seen the growth in authors that I saw last year and continuing into this one. But, COVID had different impact for different people in different industries. The publishing industry actually benefited. Lot more book sales, huge for the bookshops.
Probably not a bad thing, people reading. Although I wonder too whether there's going to be a boom in like pandemic fiction, central characters being epidemiologists who are, suave and, I don't know, sophisticated all at the same time, but can pinpoint the origin of an outbreak.
Sounds like you've got an idea going on there. So, is a manuscript coming out of you, Rebecca?
No way. Although I wouldn't mind writing a kid's book. I think that would be fun. That does sound good. So talk us through the process, because not every manuscript that lands on your desk, Ocean, gets to the stage where it's published, right? How does it work?
The biggest issue for me working elsewhere was that I was feeling a little bit dirty because I would have to bring every author through and their manuscript wasn't ready or they weren't. So what we introduced with Ocean Reeve Publishing is they go through a manuscript appraisal process. So it gets professionally reviewed, everything from their writing style right through to marketability gets reported on, and that gets sent back to the author with recommendations to bring it up to publishing standard. Now it's still in the author's hands whether or not they do that, but the majority of them do. They put the work in. And then when they get it back, the appraiser will review that manuscript and make sure they've addressed all the things that they've been guided to do. And then they go into a 3-stage editing process just to fine-tune it even further. So that early start of the publishing journey for an author helps give them confidence that they actually are going to have the best possible book going out to the marketplace. At the same time, we're encouraging our authors to go into our marketing mentorship where they can actually set the foundation for themselves as authors, build that confidence even further, because most authors aren't really good at self-promotion. So we have to change their mindset on that, and we work with them one-on-one, tailored, all around the world as well, not just limited to Australia, to help do that. And while the manuscript's going through the publishing process, ready to go to print, the author's going through the marketing mentorship to be able to go out and market and promote.
Do you have to give some tough love back sometimes?
Yeah, look, I used to do the appraisals, and there were times when I really wanted to lay it down fast, but you can't, the vulnerability of an author, you've always got to take that into account. But we have told authors that it is a good idea that they go to a writers group or potentially join an online course or something like that instead of going straight into publishing, because we don't want to put something out there that isn't up to scratch for them or for us.
Of course, yeah. It makes good sense to have that sort of honest feedback. Someone's texted saying, how much does it cost to publish a book?
That is varying for everybody. I mean, it depends on your word count and the genre of book you're doing, but most people could spend anywhere between 3,000 or 4,000 right up to 13,000, 14,000, depending on the services they want. So we're lucky because we've got everything from the appraisal, the very early stage, right through to doing your audio book, the marketing in between, video marketing, press releases, all of that jazz is done by us. Yeah. So it really depends on what they're wanting.
Is it the sort of situation that you would say to people if you've got something to get in touch with you now?
Yeah, look, 100%. Our mission statement is to bring stories to life that inspire positive change in the world, and any author that's got a story that can do that, we're very keen to talk to them. But of course, we want to tell fiction stories, we want children's books, we want Australians to be able to tell their story, their way.
Have you written a book, Ocean?
Yeah, I've written 3.
Oh, look out.
Yeah, I should have brought one for me.
I should have done a bit more research. Hang on, do I have a list? What kind of books have you written?
I've written 3 books, or co-written one and authored 2 of my own. One's called Self-Publishing Success, the Word, and the other one's called Inspire Your Fire. And I co-wrote a book called Change, about culture change in the workplace. I know as an author what it's like to put your manuscript in the hands of other people to edit, and I was just as nervous as all of our authors.
Yes,
so, yeah.
But it got up, obviously, or is it because you're the boss? They were like, oh, we've got to push this one through.
Well, no. The great thing about how we work is we're very creative in our leadership style at work. So it means it's an open table for people to say what they want to myself and Jason as the owners of the business. So sometimes I hear it how it is, and that's a good thing for me.
Love it. Well, I hope you have inspired the writing fire in someone who is listening this morning, and thrilled to hear about an industry that is booming despite some of the chaos of the pandemic.
Certainly is. I'm really pleased to be a part of it. It's fantastic.
Well, congratulations on the award and the books you're putting out into the world. Really appreciate it, Ocean. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ocean Reeve from Ocean Reeve Publishing. Oh, and I didn't even reference the fact that throughout this entire interview, Ocean was wearing a Superman shirt as well. Have you got a little fire for comic books in your heart as well?
It's a random story if I've got time.
Go on.
An author walked into my office about 7 years ago. I just happened to be wearing this shirt. He came back in for another meeting the next day and he asked me where my Superman shirt was. I thought it was a bit strange he was noticing what I was wearing. Nevertheless, I thought it was something in it, so I kept wearing them, and over time it became a thing amongst work where we're creating superhero authors, but each one of the team members had to adopt a superhero if they wanted to work with me. So I've got Flash and Valkyrie, and my wife is Lois Lane, obviously. We don't think we're superheroes, we think the authors are, but it helps set that theme for them.
Oh, I love that. I'm so glad I came back to you for that, Ocean. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Ocean Reeve, who is the founder, indeed, of Ocean Reeve Publishing.
On ABC Radio Brisbane, you're listening to Rebecca Levingston.
2 minutes away from the latest ABC News, and then after the news, you're going to